Both boats at full speed is neck and neck. These boats locked together. He cannot believe what has happened. Pulls the spray, barreling down the line.
As they're coming on the inside, Barkow burying the bound. I think there's contact between the rack and the pole.
Welcome to Marstrand for the GKSS Match Cup Sweden. Considered the annual highlight of the World Match Racing Tour, thousands of match racing fans make their way to this beautiful island each July to witness the best skippers in the business do battle inside one of the world's finest sailing amphitheatres. World champions, Olympic medalists and America's Cup heroes are amongst the 8 international tour card holders competing for the coveted title and precious tour points.
Well, yeah, firstly we just got to try and get back to terms with the boat. Obviously haven't sailed the boat since Perth, and you know, it was this time last year when we last sailed them before that, so we've only sailed them once this year and it's been a while and got a few cobwebs to dust off.
You know, I think we've got the ability to go and win, and we just got to make sure we're sailing at our full potential, and that's what we've got to try and find today, see if we can just get back in the groove of it. Fleet racing today, so not quite the knockout match racing stuff we love, but it's yeah, a good way to warm up and get into it and sort of size up against the competition.
You know, so far so good on the World Tour, carrying I think a 6 and a 3, and you know, pretty happy with the results so far, and yeah, looking forward to another week in Marstrand. We've had some great results here in the past, and I think we've made the semi-finals in the last like 3 or 4 years we've been here, so you know, that's the first goal always, and once we get there, it's all about getting the job done.
This week's roster of 18 international crews also includes 6 qualifying skippers and 4 wildcard invites, all hoping to make their mark at the 3rd event on the 2017 Championship Tour.
We just seen the last 2 groups, or 3rd group on the water, and it was great to watch from the rock. That's so unique. And there you see the gust all the way, and for us it's important to have the great start, you know, start in the middle of the fleet, nail the first mark, and then if you're free, you got your options. If you're in the crowd, it's hard.
First out was Group 2, where Taylor Camfield of US1 and Matt Jerwood of Redline Racing topped out the group, looking strong and well practiced. Next up, it was the return of the Brit, with Ian Williams of GAC Pindar and his new tactician Carl Langford of America's Cup Oracle Team USA, dominating Group 3 with a string of bullets. The final fight was in Group 2, as we saw some of the top teams in the competition sparring off against each other, with a battle between Chris Steele and Phil Robertson raging on as the round drew to a close. The sail-off saw Harry Price of Down Under Racing take out both Eric Monin of Albert Rieler's Swiss team and fellow Sydney sailor Evan Walker of KA Match, to see him claim the final spot in the Super 16 round. The elimination round saw Jan Guichard, David Gilmore and Chris Steele all securing their place in the quarterfinals.
Johnny Berntson's hopes to stay in this regatta. He almost had Steele, but it's not to be. 3-0 over Berntson is Chris Steele from New Zealand.
Next to battle was Peter Jan Postma of Sailing Team NL. They took down the veteran Australian Torvar Mirsky of Mirsky Racing Team in a 3-1 slaying. Last to do battle was local favourite Nicholas Dackhammer of Essex Racing Team and Matt Jerwood of Redline Racing. With limited space remaining in the quarterfinals, and with neither skipper willing to give in, we join them on match point at 2-all.
Trying to put the squeeze on Dackhammer, looking for a roll. The whole race really could be defined by this, and a great move by Dackhammer, sliding across the line of Matt Jerwood right when it counted. Just pulling the trigger beautifully there and getting in front of Matt Jerwood. Now he's got to execute from here. Final 15 seconds. Jerwood starting to turn the bow down, and it looks to me like Nicholas Dackhammer's got a little bit caught in the wind. Matt Jerwood bringing his bow down now, and Nicholas Dackhammer caught head to wind. Disaster has struck the Swede in a must-win match.
Oh, you know they'll be feeling the pain from that, but all credit to Matt Jerwood. Rounding mark number 1, out in front 12, 13 boat lengths, the advantage over Nicholas Dackheimer.
Whoever wins this race will stay in the competition. Whoever loses will go home. It is as simple as that. I wonder, Matt Jerwood not sailing the best of angles back there. Probably 4 or 5 lengths up the ladder of the course. As Jerwood actually looks for attack on top of Nicholas Dackheimer.
Well, he's going for a very tight cover, but I wonder if that actually isn't going to help him. He's very slow out of that tack, and just have a look at Dackheimer with plenty of pace going through his lee. He's putting the pressure on Matt Jerwood. Tack for tack, Jerwood is covering. But better crew work and a better tack. And so far, a slightly better beat for Dackheimer getting back in this match.
Dackheimer thinking about the jibe, but I think instead in sending to cross the line of Dackheimer.
Dackheimer's right back in this match.
Matt Jerwood will definitely be looking over his shoulder now as all eyes are glued out onto the water here in Marstrand. Can Dackheimer pick up some puff? At the moment, he's still slow. As Jerwood brings his bow down, will he have the cross? Dackheimer bringing his bow down as well, and it's going to be very close between these two. Both boats coming together. Dackheimer is on starboard, just passing behind the line, but it's now a length or so in it, down towards the bottom. Matt Jerwood going all the way to the exclusion, actually passing inside the finish mark here, so slightly affecting his turn. As he turns up and round.
Look at the fans. Everybody's rushing to the left-hand side of the grandstands here, going to see who's going to be ahead at this next cross. This is big. This could be the moment of the match for Nicholas Dackheimer. He is in the lead.
And we have that lead change. Matt Jerwood has lost the lead, and somehow, from somewhere, Nicholas Dackheimer has used that Swedish energy pulsing through the veins of Marstrand to find a way back round and into this race.
Looking to the left-hand side of the grandstands here, where they see Matt Jerwood tacking.
Just across again, but it's going to be close to Matt Jerwood picking up some extra puff now, bringing his bow down. And absolutely neck and neck in the middle of the penultimate leg of this race. And he's managed to do it around the top. Nicholas Dackheimer leading this pair down. Just a leg to go to the finish for the Swedish team. It was a do-or-die race. Matt Jerwood threw his jibe over on that far shore and bringing his bow down, coming up to that exclusion. I think we may well see 2 jibes from Nicholas Dackheimer here, turning down along the line of the exclusion. But as if to thank the crowd, as if to thank Marstrand and its fjord for this result, Dackheimer comes right across, right underneath the castle on his final run in towards the finish.
This is your team. This is Sweden's team. This is Nicholas Dackheimer and crew sealing the deal over Matt Jerwood 3-2 to move on into the quarterfinals of the GKSS Match Cup Sweden.
Coming just to sail here in Marstrand in front of all these people on the rocks, family, friends, sponsors, it means a lot, and especially when you came away with a win. And I mean, the boys gave us a really tough match in all the 5 races, and this day was ours. So we're super happy.
It's always pretty rough getting knocked out in the Super 16, and it was a great match with Nicholas. He sailed really well and fully deserved to beat us, and full credit to those guys.
The remaining matches saw Taylor Canfield pushing the young man's Homberg to his 2nd capsize of the week and to a 3-0 defeat. The seasoned US Virgin Islander proving just too much for the young Swedish team. Next up, and the young American Nevin Snow from 1350 Racing showed great promise against 2016 World Match Racing Tour champion Phil Robertson of China One Ningbo, taking 1 match but losing the other 3, sending Snow home and putting Robertson through to the next round. In a somewhat surprising set of matches for Ian Williams of GAC Pindar, Harry Price played a strong set throughout, with lead changes, marked roundings and umpire calls all coming into play. In the end, it was the match racing prowess of Ian Williams on the final legs that saw the Brit close out that match 3-1. After a thrilling opening few rounds and going into the quarter-final stages, we'll see Ian Williams face Jan Guichard, Phil Robertson and Chris Steele will also go head-to-head in an all-Antipodean showdown, David Gilmore will face Taylor Canfield, and finally Peter Jan Postma will be facing off against Nicholas Dackheimer. Join us after the break as the action continues. Despite the light winds, the quarter-finals got off to a dramatic start at the GKSS Match Cup Sweden in Marstrand. First up, Ian Williams took on Jan Guichard of Spindrift Racing. Despite Guichard having the better boat speed at times, the superior boat positioning of Williams proved too much, with GAC Pindar closing out the match at 3-1. Next up were two teams very much on form. David Gilmore would take on Taylor Canfield of US1.
And to go out there, sail really hard, and sail well and execute maneuvers. And I think if we do that well, then a little bit of luck our way with a tricky breeze again today, and we should be all right.
We raced Taylor in the quarterfinals in Perth, and we were lucky enough to finish on top there and knock him out, and that's what we're planning to do today.
In the first two matches, US1 looked strong, taking 2 straight bullets. But the young Australian team came back fighting to level the scores at a nail-biting 2-2. We join them in the final match.
Good for him positionally. It will mean he'll get his sails set, and you can see Canfield already building in, if you like, the weight wash of the mainsail of David Gilmore as they turn back towards the finish. The wind's also gone a lot lighter out there on the racecourse. Well, I think we might have a dial. Canfield coming back with the right-hand side, and already the bow coming down a little bit on Canfield. David Gilmore bringing his bow down, and the bow coming down on Taylor Canfield. It's a massive dial. Both boats almost pointing right at each other. Trying to sell it. Canfield brings his bow right down. Gilmore's across. And he did a nice job
Definitely
of trying
a protest
to make that tricky. I think it's going to be a big fat green.
Green flag, no penalty, and Taylor Canfield now shifts over to the left-hand side where actually it looks like there may be some fresh breeze. So the young American team is on the attack in this must-win situation for both David Gilmore and Taylor Canfield.
David Gilmore with attack up on this inside. Again, nice pressure. Canfield in sort of in phase with the shifts a little bit here. The boats do take a long time to tack. The David Gilmore will be on starboard. They are coming up on the gate. We'll see Canfield maybe looking for the cross. I'm not sure he's on ley line either. David Gilmore on starboard. Taylor Canfield on port. They're coming together in the middle of the racetrack. Gilmore coming back on the right-hand side is going to snatch the onside.
2, 1, and go to point.
Now, will David Gilmore look for the roll, or will we see him tack? Trying to slide across the top. David Gilmore looking to hold on to the inside. Will Canfield lay? He's luffing hard. He's trying to get in, and already he's matched speed with Gilmore, I think. And it's a big luff from Canfield. The mark now coming into play as well as these boats locked horns, absolutely locked together right at the top of the racecourse. And Canfield isn't going anywhere. He's not going to bear away around the mark.
Do we ever think of attack?
And I wonder, you can hear David Gilmore talking about the tack. He's going for it. Both boats are going to bear away. Massive tack. Now, will he be able to pull this off? Gilmore's going to have to turn inside the line of Canfield. Canfield will have the quicker move. It's going to be a jibe.
2.
But David Gilmore now looking to build. And we have a split at the top.
And another penalty flag from Taylor Canfield, likely to be green as Gilmore splits to the left of his opponent. We're heading downwind. This is the final run to the finish. Here comes Gilmore into the jibe. He's also going to be on starboard. Canfield has been looking to build pace this entire run. Canfield is now up against the ropes. The momentum, hang on, we've had a penalty. I believe, what's going on here?
It's a blue flag, so that's a penalty on Gilmore. I think he went through the exclusion zone. Disaster striking the young Australian team.
Okay, let's go.
And now we're here, coming down the final run, and Canfield coming on the inside. The penalties are off, and it's a split, and it's a mad dash to the finish. Canfield looks quicker to me as he comes through his jibe. Will David Gilmore respond? He's in nice pressure over on the left-hand side of the racecourse, and it will come down to the final moments. Canfield looking to build speed. David Gilmore looking to come in on ley line. Here we go. It is going to be bow to bow. Can Gilmore cross? Will he be able to get behind? Taylor Canfield already bow up here. And they're going to be head to head here. Canfield coming in on starboard. David Gilmore trying to stay out of the way. But Canfield, there the wily match racer, puts David Gilmore hard up, and now it's going to be a dash to the finish. It's all to do here. Both boats now in a drag race.
to see who will win.
Blue flag penalty.
Oh.
Gilmore gets another penalty. He's going to have to slow down right before the finish. Canfield has jibed, and the American team will take a solid position to leeward of Gilmore, who has to shed a penalty. Masterful sailing from Taylor Canfield and US 1 as they put their bow down. The penalty still on for Gilmore, and Taylor Canfield from US 1 has won the match and the right to move on into the semi-final.
Next out was local young gun Nicholas Stackhammer of Essex Racing Team and Peter Jan Postma of Sailing Team NL. Despite the home ground support, Stackhammer wasn't able to keep Postma at bay, with that match ending 2-0.
With the Swedish fans on shore watching, because the race will go to Peter Jan Postma from the Netherlands, 1-up.
The final match was the eagerly anticipated All-New Zealand derby between Chris Steele and Phil Robertson. Robertson took the first match, but Chris Steele came back strong at the top mark in match 2.
Chris Steele looking to try and dig it on the near side by the castle. It's going to be a little Kiwi dash. Which one of the bridges will win? Will it be north of the bridge Steele or south of the bridge Phil Robertson? Robertson a lot nearer, but Chris Steele's moving a lot faster. And I think Phil Robertson has slightly the better of the bias.
Came right down to the last foot of the finish line, and the race goes to Phil Robertson.
It was very light and shifty, obviously, and you know, the leeward entry off the start. Starboard entry was really strong today, and you know, Phil did a nice job in the first one of locking that down and leading at the first mark, and you know, we got back in the race, but wasn't really any passing lanes. And then, you know, the second race we had the leeward entry, and you know, converted that as well. We were first at the first mark, and you know, led basically all the way around the track to the bottom mark, and yeah, basically we just made a decision to go around the right-hand gate, and proved to be the wrong one. Looking back, it was still the logical thing to do. We just didn't quite get it, you know, fully right in the end.
It was a pretty tough day, to be honest. Really light and pretty sticky, so not an easy round. And Chris did a pretty good job of keeping it close and pushing us all the way. And yeah, he's a bloody good sailor and a good team. So yeah, not an easy quarter final that we sort of had there, but yeah, semi-finals tomorrow, and I think we're racing PJ Postma, who's a boat owner and yeah, done plenty of training lately. So yeah, they're going to be no pushover as well.
Joining match racing world champion Phil Robertson in the semi-finals would be fellow tour card holders Taylor Canfield of US 1 and Ian Williams of GAC Pindar, as well as wildcard and fan favourite Peter Jan Postma of Sailing Team NL. Join us after the break as the remaining 4 teams battle it out for a place in the final here at the GKSS Match Cup Sweden. Welcome back to the GKSS Match Cup Sweden. Now in the sharp end of the competition, 18 teams have been whittled down to just 4, each vying for top spot and precious tour points. It's a truly international lineup as we move into the semi-finals, with teams from across the globe and representing the UK, Holland, New Zealand and the US Virgin Islands. The first pairing saw former world champion Taylor Canfield of US 1 go up against arch rival and 6-time world champion Ian Williams of GAC Pindar.
Well, we've had plenty of good battles with GAC Pindar in the past, and we're looking forward to it. The guys that execute the best are going to win today.
In the monohulls, we probably had the edge over Taylor and his team, but it's been the reverse in the M32, so it's on us really to go out and try and stick it to him.
Taylor Canfield straight up outsailed the GAC Pindar team in the first 2 matches, giving Ian Williams one final chance to equalise if he was to stay in the competition.
As we head into the pre-start of race number 3, here's Canfield entering, and a little bit later, in yellow, Ian Williams.
So bringing his bow up, Williams, they're looking to try and catch out Canfield. Slightly unconventional pre-start. Williams is, I think, circling the committee boat, or at least wants the umpires to think he is.
Almost like a conventional match race from a couple years ago, Simon. And Canfield has shifted Williams into 2 tacks, and now he himself will jibe over to the right-hand side.
You know what, we may see a dial up here. Canfield sailing off to the right-hand side, going to jibe back. I wonder if we're going to see him just go straight at Williams. I think instead electing to just sail along the edge of the boundary. Only a minute 15 to go.
Big down. Slow along here.
And Canfield has the better of the positioning. He can do what he wants with this pre-start at this point. Williams now coming in from high.
Interesting that Canfield has left the protection of the rocks. That leaves him a little bit exposed. 55 seconds to the start, and here comes Williams slowly creeping in to try and have a piece of Canfield.
Williams now looking to try and put the hammer down. Knows that he's going to be late if he just waits behind Canfield. Bringing his bow up, looking to try and roll over the top. Looking to steal back the lead, and we saw Williams do this to great effect in the previous race, but he's going to have to get on with it over the bow of Canfield. Williams comes on starboard, and he's got it. He's managed to secure the lead back, and turning round now. Got to make sure he's not under lay now. Final 20 seconds of the pre-start. Williams brings his bow up towards the line. Canfield already in the windward position. But a nice position for Williams if he can lay, but it doesn't feel like all the boat handling working out quite right. Final 5 seconds. Williams bringing his bow down now. Canfield looking to come across with the roll, and there's the gun, and it's an inch perfect start for Canfield in the windward position, and I think he's already breaking through onto the roll. Williams needs to try and hang in.
Look at the speed of Taylor Canfield and US1 into an early deploy. Mark number 1, they're in the lead in this third match over Ian Williams and GAC Pindar. Flying a haul, Canfield is off. Psychologically, that's going to send a message to Ian Williams. Having won the first 2 matches and now out in the lead in this one is going to put Williams up against the ropes. The pressure's on.
Well, the pressure clearly on, but we have seen, like, Williams has, in my view, really led the kind of maneuvering intensity here. You can hear the tempo of his decision-making, looking for the jibe, looking for the next move, looking for the next opportunity. And if he's going to break back into this, it's going to be using that to his advantage. And a lot of GAC Pindar fans and supporters and, you know, people from the business here in Marstrand. So a lot of pressure and support here to try and perform.
So Canfield connecting the dots in these shifts in phase, and now tacking to stay in touch with Williams.
Stand by. Tacking 3, 2, 1, tacking.
You can see what Canfield in the background there as Williams tacks, and I just like the breeze that Canfield's getting into. He's shutting down the options for Ian Williams to catch up.
So here we go. Williams through his tack over on the right-hand side.
Cut.
Coming back towards the top gate. I think both teams on ley lines.
And it is gains to Taylor Canfield, as you hear Williams saying, we are out of phase here.
Stand by.
Canfield, Leeward Gates,
2,
heading left, upwind.
jibing.
There is the closest the two teams have been in the match, but on different legs as Williams heads downwind for the opposite mark to split. Canfield will tack and set up in a defensive position on top of the GAC Pindar team as they round the Leeward Gate. You can hear Williams talking about a one-way track, which closes his options down.
Yeah, I think it's all about the right-hand side in this central area of the beat, at least.
Williams wound up in a left-hand shift, but he's to the right of his opponent, so that won't help, particularly approaching the exclusion zone and the ley line for the top mark, meaning he'll have to eat a header all the way in.
No, Canfield around, heading down on the final leg towards the finish.
There's a bit of desperation from the voice of Ian Williams, tacking, changing last minute to sail around the right-hand gate, looking upwind as Canfield heads for home to the finish off the fans here in Marstrand.
And look at that, Canfield's come here, went out today,
1, jibing.
cool and calm, and well, a real sense of laser focus on the boat this morning. And it is US1 sailing now, coming in on the line.
Your first finalists here in the GKSS Match Cup Sweden, Taylor Canfield and US1.
The final pairing to fight for a place on the podium was wildcard Peter Jan Postma of Sailing Team NL and winner of Match Cup Sweden's record-breaking prize purse, Phil Robertson of China One Nigbo.
It's the best pick, I think. It's great to be up against Phil and his team, and we like some competition, and let's take it on.
I think it's going to be a bit of fun and a good match. He's an aggressive sailor and he's got a lot of time in the boats this year and it's getting better and better, so definitely rearing to go, and yeah, pretty G'd up for today.
Despite the Dutch underdog putting up a good fight, Robertson led the first 2 matches, maintaining a strong lead throughout. At first to 3 points, Postma needed a win to avoid being sent home and knocked out of the competition.
Postma's really going to have to bring something here, coming in the red. And I think we're going to see him really throw chance to the win, perhaps even enjoy just really socking it to Phil Robertson here.
Nothing to lose.
Well, he's jibed into the front.
Here we are on board with PJ Postma and crew. Minute 30 seconds to the start, and they hit the brakes.
Well, just on the bow of
Phil Robertson just reaching over the top and stopping as well. Actually rolling into attack.
We are sitting duck
well,
here.
Interesting, yeah, we're a sitting duck, says Postma. But you know what, they're not. That was actually quite smart. There wasn't really much Robertson could do there to try and affect him, but he's certainly going to come back. A minute to go.
1 minute. Pete, we're sitting ducks.
Is Postma too early for the start?
Oh, big time. I think really Postma needed to try and follow Robertson away to that right-hand side, but here he goes.
A little bit stalled.
Robertson's going to come in and he's just going to hook him up. Have a little bit of Dutchman on a stick coming up here. 45 seconds to go. And Postma up into attack.
5
Robertson not looking to tack back now. Postma has actually an opportunity here. If he can tack back, he's going to be looking pretty strong, but actually looking for a jibe. Let's see. Postma turning down and around. Now, if he can be on time here, he can really threaten Phil Robertson. He got the timing of that circle absolutely bang on, actually. I think almost a little bit by accident, but in comes Robertson now, leading back towards the start, but Postma coming in. And in the final few seconds, can Postma manage to snatch it back? He's certainly a little bit quicker. And in the final few seconds, Postma just needs to pull the trigger. He's in the leeward position, and a great start for Postma. Great start for Robertson as well in the leeward position, but Postma might be able to roll. Can he dare to believe?
Trying to keep his hopes alive in this regatta. Got a better start than Phil Robertson. He'll roll over the top of his bow and lead at Mark 1.
I mean, Postma feels confident when he sounds confident when he's behind, but my goodness, listen to him when he's in front. And, you know, he is really flying along there. Great move from Postma. Just really popping up onto the foils there, these curve C4s generating lift, and Postma now leading in on that right-hand side, now going for the Jenica away, flying the hull around the mark, leading off to that right-hand side.
Every maneuver crisp. You can just feel the momentum shifting. Postma and crew are on fire in this match, and they leave Robertson behind to take the left-hand gate looking downwind, right-hand side as we look upwind.
Oh, I mean, you've got to love this, haven't you? Go on, PJ Postma, off to the right.
Phil Robertson there, switching sides, having tacked on to starboard, looking for an opportunity to get back in the match. Good tack for your race leader. PJ Postma and crew keeping his hopes alive in the GKSS Match Cup Sweden semi-finals. First to win 3, and Phil Robertson already has 2, but he's trailing in this one to the Flying Dutchman. A nice shift on Postma's bow. Looks like a puff and a lefty. A double advantage.
Robertson definitely not laying, so that is good news for Postma. So he can just sail across here, tack.
On board with Postma into the tack. Ley line, shortest course straight into the next mark. It'll be a right-hand turn for the Dutch crew and 1 Spaniard. Robertson will set up on ley line for the opposite mark to get a split on the halfway mark of this race. So there are still options for the Kiwi crew representing China. Ningbo to catch back up as Postma heads downwind, looking solid. If he keeps this up.
I mean, first class. I mean, you've got to think, if Postma can take the next one, we'll be poised on 2-2. I mean, you just dare to believe for PJ Postma and Team NL.
3, 2, 1.
And the interviews and things, and we had a bit of a dog walk. I actually met Robert Magnuson, the CEO, and I was like, you know, who do you think's going to win? And he's like, oh, PJ Postma, you know, and you know, everyone's kind of rooting for this guy. It's nice to see new blood. It's nice to see new nations represented here at the World Match Racing Tour. Robertson has actually caught up a little bit.
Postma setting up for tack on ley line for the left mark at the top windward gates and setting up for the final run downwind.
Those two marks and down around whichever way you fancy.
Good puff of breeze to Phil Robertson though, just at the last moment. And that'll be a little bit of a gain as Postma heads downwind, trying to hold him off.
Well, this is the final run. And he was 2-0 down. He needs to win 3, but he's coming up to take the first of those matches. PJ Postma and his Dutch team down towards the castle, lit up in orange flames.
Postma has done it, taking his first win here in the semifinals over Phil Robertson.
Robertson took the final win, guaranteeing him a place against Taylor Canfield in the final. Can Phil Robertson keep his crown, or will Taylor Canfield knock the Kiwi off his throne? With both skippers having one title under their belts, it could be anyone's win. Join us after the break. Welcome back. Finals day in Marstrand saw an increase in both spectators and wind. And after 76 races, 18 teams are whittled down to just 2 skippers, both in with a chance of taking first place on the podium and coveted tour points. Reigning match racing world champion Phil Robertson of China 1 Ningbo would take on Taylor Canfield of US 1.
A little redemption, but yeah, you know, it's good to have a rematch from last year in Sweden in the finals here, and again, it's going to be a great match, but you know, I think we're going to work hard to win it this year.
Been learning a lot and improving a lot, and I still feel we haven't sort of raced at our full potential yet, so yeah, we're ready to pull that out now.
Robertson drew first blood, putting China 1 Ningbo firmly in the lead going into match 2.
Potential hook for Canfield here coming underneath the line. Can he get through that gap? Just threading it through, and that gives him the lead. So great sailing from Canfield.
Interesting that Robertson didn't really do anything defensively there, just kind of hanging to windward in what is now a pinned position before the start.
Well, I think he thought that there wasn't room for him to get inside, but that gap just opened up and Canfield used all of his judgment just to sneak that in. And if you like, the hunter has become the hunted, and now Canfield has Robertson absolutely pinned out to the right-hand side as he comes through another tack. He's just got to make sure he executes well. Robertson now looking for a jibe. Canfield needs to block this turn. If Robertson can get this in, he should have the lead back. And I think Robertson perhaps snatching it back here. As Robertson turns around, just completes with slightly crisper boat handling, grabs back the ascendancy, and now it is Robertson's turn to turn the tables back on Canfield. Bring his bow up, looking to lock him off to the right-hand side. Final 25 seconds to go, and Robertson has the ascendancy. I think Canfield may be a little bit in irons. Final 19 seconds. And at the moment, this is the Taylor Canfield. Well, Taylor Canfield now starting to move forward.
Here we go, 10 seconds, both boats heading towards the line for the final windup in race number 2. Looks like it's going to be an even start. 3, 2, 1, bang! Taylor Canfield, bow forward from what looked like a tough position, has won the start, but only just. Robertson's right there.
Well, Robertson now going for a bit of a luff on board Taylor Canfield, flying the hull. He's either just clearing his air out, and we'll see him follow in. But wow, we saw changes in ascendancy. You know, a pre-start like we've almost barely seen in these M32s before there. But now locked horns down the run. Canfield out in front with Robertson right manning the guns on his stern, and they're about to throw it through the jibe. Robertson leading the turn down as Canfield looks to match.
Robertson very aggressive, and it's a good job. Now he'll look to roll Canfield. Canfield holding on to his air forward, but only just. We have got a real battle on our hands, folks. Robertson took the first match. Now Canfield is ahead in match 2, approaching the leeward gates, and we're on board with Canfield.
More turns, more turns.
Now the extra jibe. Canfield likes that right-hand side, and he's taken it, and that's given the straight-through rounding to Robertson. Now can he make it work for him? I really like that angle from Canfield. You can already see he looks a little bit bow up, but Robertson coming back. And Canfield is across, but Robertson is very hot on his heels. And now Robertson has the right. And for me, it's most important to have the right in the center of the race course, and this is going to be critical times for Canfield. For me, Robertson may well break back. Looking for the cross, and I think Taylor Canfield bringing his bow down for a duck. So Robertson has found a way back in this match, and he's made the cross, but only by a whisker.
So our first lead change has Robertson back in front, but Canfield shifting over to the right-hand side. That being said, to my eye, Simon, it looks like some breeze coming from the upper left, and that's where we find Phil Robertson.
Canfield through the tack on the right-hand side. He'll be coming in Taylor Canfield brings his bow down a little bit as well. And we're going to see both boats almost head-to-head. Taylor Canfield looking for the roll. Robertson tacking on the inside. You saw him slow down, and now I think Canfield's going to come around the outside. Now can Robertson accelerate away? Yes, he can, and he's now holding Canfield off to the right-hand side of the racecourse. A love from Robertson, and Taylor Canfield now trapped to windward of Robertson, and now Robertson turns his bow down, heading for home. This is leg 3 of 6. The whistles are blaring, and it is Robertson that is leading this pair away. Great sailing from Robertson. He had that constructed right from the outset of the top mark.
So close as we head into the leeward gates. Phil Robertson has a choice of which way he'll want to go, and he'll choose the left, going back upwind, leaving Canfield to take the right.
I mean, I like that approach. You go around that mark, you definitely get the middle of the beat. That's what he managed to achieve last time. Canfield going around with the Jenica out, perhaps just a little bit ragged.
Canfield a little bit slow too, had to sail extra distance to get to that opposite mark. Phil Robertson and his crew of helmsmen doing a beautiful job picking the shifts on this tricky beat here in Marstrand. And that's a lefty that he's just tacked into, and he's to the left of his opponent.
So Robertson tracking back across.
Go deploy. 2. Holding.
Easy on the lay. Just making this all look super crisp and easy. Bow down at the mark, a little bit of a nosedive.
Good save.
And this is the run to the finish, and Robertson out in front. Final jibe down towards the finish. Taylor Canfield coming back in just above his line, but it's going to be not enough. And he waves across to the crowd. Phil Robertson coming through the line.
There it is, folks. Race number 2 belongs to Phil Robertson again.
With the scores at 2-0 to Phil Robertson and his China 1 Ningbo team, Taylor Canfield of US 1 was perilously close to being knocked out of the competition.
10 seconds to go now. You can feel the tension building as the clock ticks down. Boats winding up to full speed. Phil Robertson a little bit early to my eye. 2, 1. There's the gun and the start, and it's all clear. We're into the 2-minute zone.
Well, you can just see that reef having an impact. Both boats hulls in the water. Robertson turning down. Canfield now looking to take the lead.
Canfield fishtailing there to slow down and stay in along the rocks, not give Robertson room to get inside, using them as a bit of a pick.
Well,
130.
Yeah. I mean, this is just that classic boat-on-boat match racing that we have seen really over the decades here in Marstrand, coming along the rocks, and he's managed to get Phil Robertson boxed on that right-hand side. Taylor Canfield now looking to accelerate, and Robertson just trapped a little bit to windward, and now Taylor Canfield becomes massively the aggressor. Robertson still has time to try and escape, but at the moment Taylor Canfield has him exactly where he wants him.
Are you ready to attack, Trevor? Okay.
On board with Robertson. Canfield pushing from behind, less than a minute to go.
James Wabowski there with the Jenica, looking to try and use that Jenica to steer. Taylor Canfield coming up now. Has Phil Robertson timed this perfectly? He got the timing of his circle bang on in the first race, and I think he may have well done the same. Phil Robertson now looking for a jibe. Can he get it in? Taylor Canfield looking to try and follow. But with 35 seconds, I think that tack out from Robertson absolutely inch perfect on timing. And Canfield deciding he hasn't got time to follow. He now goes for attack. Phil Robertson now looking to try and build in the lure position. 21 seconds to go. Robertson underneath the line of Taylor Canfield.
Now look for Canfield to dive down, try and go for the hook, but only 12 seconds to go, running out of time.
Robertson bringing the bow down now, and we should see that Jenica start to pop out. I think for Robertson, thinking he maybe had him locked, but in the final countdown into the final race, Phil Robertson really owning the start up at the top of the starting box and leading off the line, already 2-0 up. Canfield, it's going to have to find something in a luff. Robertson looking for a bit of a luff to hold out Canfield here. And the rack already coming up on US 1. And look for Phil Robertson to try and leave Canfield as stopped as he can in its windward position.
Will Robertson throw another luff? It's almost bowed about. No, there goes Robertson. Bowed down. And he takes an early lead into mark number 1, the set, and Canfield is right on his heels.
But he is a little bit lower as well, so he's a little further forward, he's a little further down, and that's exactly where you want to be as you're leading around the mark, and the crowds rise onto their feet here in the grandstand.
Setting up again here, okay?
Has gone a bit lighter down at the bottom.
Hold, 5.
Big gain for Robertson as Canfield jibes twice and now looks to head down to the leeward marks, and that's exactly where Robertson is already rounding.
Phil Robertson picking this time the right-hand side. The breeze further round left. You can see that in the angle of the boats downwind.
3, 2, 1. Tracking now. Fly high. 3.
Canfield.
Yeah, good. Take it off.
Over on the left. Phil Robertson just making the tack right in front of the grandstands here. And I think out of that tack, Taylor Canfield has made a massive gain now, drawing back to what is only a couple of lengths behind, and it is gained back on here in Marstrand.
For the first time, I can hear tension from Phil Robertson's voice. He's still in the lead, still out in front. But Canfield is on the attack and shifting to the right-hand side in the middle of the racetrack.
And here we go, Taylor Canfield bringing the bow down, and we've got a dial in the middle of the racetrack. Canfield has managed to break back. And now Phil Robertson with the duck coming out of the right-hand side. Canfield has from somewhere found a way back into this match on this, second upwind.
Spectacular gains for Taylor Canfield. That's what he has to do to stay in this regatta if he has any hopes of topping the current world champion, Phil Robertson. Close cross at the top.
Well, Phil Robertson rounding that left-hand mark just across the line this time at Taylor Canfield, and we have another lead change, but rounding almost even Stevens and breaking for opposite sides of the course. Robertson in the orange heading off to the left. Taylor Canfield fighting to stay in this competition, sailing off to the right.
On to port to connect with his opponent, but Taylor Canfield has made a massive gain. That's the good news. The bad news is trouble on his Jenniker. He can't get it underway. There goes Robertson crossing in the lead. So the sheet is not all the way in, and they're going to be in trouble in the next jibe. Meanwhile, Phil Robertson will jibe clear, and he has regained the lead. Here comes the jibe from Canfield. Let's see if they've sorted it out. Yes, they have. Now they have to catch up. There goes Robertson out in front.
And now Robertson has extended into a massive lead, heading off to the left-hand side of the racecourse.
Go. Tacking.
And to add insult to injury, Phil Robertson tacking in a beautiful puff of breeze. Out in front, there's Canfield. Just
might have
looking
been a
for
little underdone on
any opportunity to get back in this match. He did it before. Can he do it again before the finish? Canfield is trying to extend all the way to the right of Phil Robertson.
Phil Robertson now looking for a cross, and it is game back on. This is the last chance. Somehow, from somewhere, Taylor Canfield has found a way to close this game right up, but Robertson already on the leg to the finish. It is going to take another twist of fate.
Here we go.
This is it, Canfield looking to try and find something. Sailing well, sailing fast over on that left-hand side. He's going well in grey, but can he find a way to break back? Coming through his jibe now, pointing down towards Robertson. Just one more jibe for Robertson as he comes down towards the finish.
Here comes the final jibe to claim this regatta.
Coming down and in underneath the grandstands in front of the crowds lined with people, the VIP hospitality, all of Marstrand, all of World Match Racing Tour Sailey.
Ladies and gentlemen, Phil Robertson and China One Ningbo have won the GKSS Match Cup Sweden.
What a result and what a champion. We have a repeat victory here.
Yeah, we're obviously pretty happy, mate. I mean, the boys dug pretty deep all week, and they came in pretty hot and tight. So, yeah, massive effort from the team, and yeah, we're pretty stoked. But I mean, this is what we came here to do, is to try and defend our title here, and to do it is a pretty good feeling. So, happy days.
Current match racing world champion Phil Robertson takes his second win of the 2017 season, leaving Taylor Canfield of US1 in second place. And after beating Peter Jan Postma of sailing team NL in the Petit finals, Ian Williams of GAC Pindar took third place on the podium. The GKSS Match Cup Sweden did not fail to deliver. The wins came in strong, underdogs came out fighting, local heroes were pushed to their limits, and old rivalries were reignited in close quarters combat. For the skippers and their teams, all eyes are now firmly set on the next event as we head east for World Match Racing Tour Match Cup Russia.